Okay, all you high school stars, we ask one thing of you. We spend a great proportion of this evening honoring your achievements. We need you to hang while we honor the achievements of our great inductees here. So we keep things moving here, but if someone does have to leave and has a 7 a.m. organic chemistry test, that door is available, but you got to go past me and Coach Price and several others. And don't exit out of those doors back there. We had the fire alarm goes off or whatever. You have to go out of the elevator or here, but we would really encourage everyone to stick through the remainder of the program because we have reached the climax. The induction of the 2015 El Paso Athletic Hall of Fame. Each honoree will receive a beautiful personal plaque, and then we'll have another plaque join the 313 others hanging proudly in the Don Haskins Center. This year we want to recognize our plaque maker who's in the audience, and these are gorgeous plaques. Let's give a nice round of applause to Mike Durley. Mike, would you please stand? Where is he? Is that Mike? Where's Mike? I've never seen the guy. Is he here? Going once, going twice. Okay, thanks, Mike. All right. Selection to the El Paso Athletic Hall of Fame is not easy. Committee members must attend at least 3 meetings. They must listen to multiple nominations in the various categories, and then they cast their votes. It's hard to vote. You've got to want to vote. You've got to want to nominate people. So the people that get in have earned it, and the people that cast their votes know who they're voting on. Before we get to this group right here, though, something I want to touch on. Back in 2008, we had an inductee that took ill and was unable to attend his own induction. And his wife, Kim, made the induction speech. And I see him seated right here. He's never gotten his due. And this gentleman needs it. He is the leader among leaders at the University of Texas at El Paso in developing facilities, getting great coaches, and providing wonderful leadership. Bob Stull, ladies and gentlemen, El Paso Athletic Hall of Fame. And Kim, you did a wonderful acceptance speech for Bob. But Bob tonight gets his due. Okay, El Paso has a rich track and field legacy. Our first inductee pulled off a very difficult double. He was the state big school 4A cross-country champion at Austin High in 1973. Then in the spring of '74, he won the mile in Austin with a time just a few seconds over 4 minutes. He trained in high school without the benefit of a long-distance coach. Our nominee earned a scholarship to UTEP and was an alternate member on the 1975 UTEP National Cross Country Championship team. UTEP was led then by Olympic caliber international long distance runners from all over the globe like Wilson Wegwa. Our inductee concentrated on academics at UTEP and earned electrical engineering and later a computer science degree. His career has taken him to Colorado and the Metroplex, where he's employed monitoring software that powers electronics to fire missiles. He's earned 2 patents as a professional. To get there back in the teenage years, he'd studied late into the night. Neighbor Carlos Aguilera remembers the studying and the running, and Carlos nominated him for the Hall of Fame consideration. Ladies and gentlemen, in the athlete category, let's welcome into the El Paso Athletic Hall of Fame 2-time state high school running champion at Austin High, Ruben Dominguez, Jr.
Good evening. I am thankful and blessed that my family and friends are present for my induction into the El Paso Athletic Hall of Fame. I thank my sponsor, Carlos Aguilera, for nominating me. I'm also thankful to those who spoke on my behalf in support of my nomination. I'm grateful to the Hall of Fame committee for my selection. I am honored to be inducted as a competitive distance runner and a distance runner who was born and raised in El Paso. In my teenage years during the 1970s, I was inspired and influenced by great distance runners from El Paso, like Tony Zuniga, Claude Barron, Robert Murray, and Freddy de la Cerda. I was also inspired and influenced by the great distance runners from this nation, like Jim Ryan, Steve Prefontaine, Rick Walhooter, Dave Waddle, and Frank Shorter. Please excuse me. They gave me hope. They showed me determination. They gave me dreams to pursue. Watching most of these runners competing at the 1972 Olympic Games left a deep impression on me, especially watching Dave Waddle win in dramatic fashion in the finals of the 800 meters. In my endeavor to pursue my dreams and goals as a distance runner, there were challenges to face, to confront, and to overcome. The training for high school distance runners in the 1970s was not as well developed as it is today. And only a handful of runners in El Paso had a distance running coach. With the challenge of not having such coaches available, and long before the existence of the internet and YouTube, I went to the local library to read and learn from books about running. I watched track meets on TV. I observed my competitors, and I learned from my peers to develop and refine the workouts, the race techniques, and the race strategies that I needed to be competitive and raise my level of performance. In the process, and unknowingly, I had learned the disciplines of research, development, testing, analysis, modeling, simulation, trait studies, pattern recognition, and memory retention. Disciplines in preparation for my future. Disciplines associated with the engineering environment. Disciplines defined and learned in my studies in college. Disciplines that are applied in my career as an engineer. All things work together for good, as quoted in the Bible. And now that I have this knowledge, I pass it along to young distance runners as a mentor. With my induction, I hope to be an inspiration for the current and next generation of runners. For the runners from past generations, I hope they will look upon me as deserving. For the runners from my era, those from the 1970s and early 1980s, I hope my induction does not stop with me. It would be selfish to even think that I alone represent this era. It needs to continue with other distance runners deserving recognition, with names like Tony Zuniga, Patsy Norman, Gilbert Contreras, Sergio Oaxaca, and David Aguirre. Runners with national and all-American status. Runners also born and raised in El Paso. It is my hope that in the coming years, they too will be nominated and inducted into the El Paso Athletic Hall of Fame in recognition of their athletic achievements, and be able to enjoy the wonderful experience I'm having today. Thank you, and have a blessed evening.
Ruben, that's absolutely beautiful. Sticking with the track and field theme, our next inductee remains one of the top long-distance runners in his age category in the country. He got his running start in the cold Canadian winters in Ontario, where he won numerous Canadian junior championships and set a national junior record in the 1,500 meters. In 1972, for his final 2 years of collegiate eligibility, UTEP track coach Wayne Vandenberg recruited him to UTEP. He was part of 2 runner-up national championship teams, but he told me his personal highlight was being on an NCAA indoor national championship team. He took a bronze medal as part of the distance medley relay on that national championship team. Following graduation, he competed for Canada at the Pan Am Games and the World Cross Country Championships. His dream of making the Canadian Olympic team was foiled by the 1980 Olympic boycott. He waited a few years and returned to the track in 2006 and has set many records, including winning multiple national championship medals in senior track and field games. He just won the 400, the 800, and the 1500 at the Texas Senior Games in San Antonio. He's made El Paso his home and retired from a distinguished academic career after being a teacher and principal at various schools. He's currently an elected member of the Isleta School Board, still giving back to our community. Nominated a couple of years ago, it's not easy to get in the El Paso Athletic Hall of Fame, by Ron Lyman and then by Flip Lyle this year. He's in, he belongs, ladies and gentlemen, in the athlete category. Let's welcome Paul Pearson into the El Paso Athletic Hall of Fame.
First of all, I'd like to thank the committee and Flip Lyle and Ron Lyman for getting me into this unbelievable Hall of Fame honor. And thank you very much for everybody who spoke for me and advocated. I really appreciate it. I really want to talk to the high school athletes in the crowd. One day I was sitting out there, a long time ago obviously, just like you, and didn't know what I was going to do. I started out in high school. I went to a very small high school in Ontario, as was mentioned, very cold, yes. About 600 kids, a rural high school, but it was known for its cross country in Ontario. I didn't know anything about running when I went to high school. And so first day gym class, here we go for a run. Man, and this stuff was killing me. I couldn't walk, I got off the bus, I couldn't walk home or anything like that. And it was so competitive in my high school, even though there's only 600 kids, they used to have a tryout for the freshman class to make the cross-country team. So I lined up, I didn't make the team, my freshman year of high school. And so later on I made it and I got better and all that kind of stuff, and it came up to the fall of my senior year. And this is a term I read in an interview with an elite athlete, that this elite athlete did not want to be 40 years old, 60 years old, or whatever, and think, if only I would have done that. What if I would have run one more mile? What if I would have spent a little bit more time in the gym? What if I would have swum a little bit longer? What if I would have done all of these things? I never wanted to be that way. So that fall, I trained a little bit harder under my coach at high school, Bruce Sonley, and won a state championship in the spring. And was recruited to come to the United States, but I decided to stay in Canada. And went to a club. I had a local club where I lived that was pretty good, but I went, what if? So I went for the best coach that there was in Ontario and joined that club. Within a couple of years, I was a national champion for my age, set a national record, was ranked at, when I was 18, in the top 3 of the country for anybody's age. I'd run about a 404 mile when I was 18. So, what do I do now? Canada's a big country, and there's only a couple really good milers. I was never going to run against them. So, if I wanted to be good, then I had to come to the United States. So I wrote a bunch of letters, and Wayne Vandenberg replied, telling me I should come here, and I did, with a full scholarship. I had to redshirt a year because I'd gone to college. Within 1 year, I went home. I was second in the Olympic trials. Didn't make the team, didn't get the standard. But, you know, there's always the future. And then Wayne Vandenberg, Ted Banks took over the program. And from there, as was mentioned by Kevin, we were runner-up at 2 NCAA championships, won one NCAA championship. I was lucky enough to be on a relay team, made All-American, all those good kinds of things. So, if only, what can I do from here? Well, I took that knowledge and went back to Canada and was lucky enough to make a number of national teams. And after all those years, I always tell everybody, I think it was 13 years later, after not making the high school cross-country team, I ran in the World Championships for cross-country in Edinburgh, Scotland. So, all of you high school people, if only, what if, do not get to be 30 or 40 years old and look back and that you wasted all of your talent. You need to do everything possible, and I hear all these schools that people are going to, so they're doing the right thing in order to fulfill your talent. I started racing again a few years ago at the national level for old people, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, old people, let's see. I'm 64 and can run about 5:20 for a mile. So it's still there. I'm still hanging together and all that kind of stuff. And I've been at 10 years for that. So I had all of these wonderful coaches. And now I have to thank somebody else, because it doesn't matter where we go, whether it's London, England, London, Ontario, Alaska, whatever, the day always starts out, I have to go for a run. And my wonderful wife, Kathy, puts up with that. So I thank her, and I'm challenging you, because I would like to be here 20 years from now and listen to somebody's speech telling exactly the same thing of what you went through. Thank you.
Found that these are the full-size ones that go in the Haskins Center, and these are the personalized ones that you take home. So, since we found these, we weren't sure where they were. Yeah. Okay. Paul, you're going to join Bernard